nation and our forefathers intended this to be a nation of a united people. Post 1969, May 13, we've seen a different agenda. We've seen divide and rule become the philosophy of this nation. That is the first reason MCLM was formed. We want to take this nation back to that vision of Bapak Malaysia, one people, one nation, all equal. After the 12 general elections, where 50% of voters had voted for change, we have waited to see some of these changes happen. An end to marginalization. 40% of the country are poor. This is a rich country. It shouldn't be happening. An end to race-based politics. We still see it happening on both sides of the divide. We came up with MCLM because we feel that the Rakyat want change. The Rakyat want change. The Rakyat want to see some positive improvements in this country. But the Rakyat need leadership. MCLM was formed because Raja Petra Kamarudin and I feel we can offer that leadership to open the way for Rakyat who have awakened and who want to do something for this country to find a way to get themselves involved. That's really why MCLM was formed. To create an avenue for Malaysians who want to do something, don't know where to go. We give them an avenue to come together and to create that body of people who can start to do something for this country. That's really the reason why MCLM was established. Civil liberties. What is a human being? A human being must be an individual who has the necessary freedoms. Of course, subject to being able to blend and live within a society, but to have those liberties by which he can live his life fully, right? If we look at our federal constitution, Article 5, right to life, that actually describes it all. Now, civil liberties means the average individual must have the right of equal opportunities, the right to be free of discrimination. Essentially, you must be given all the facilities to be an equal in society with the next person. And issues of ethnicity, issues of religious differences should not interfere with those liberties. So when we talk about civil liberties as a whole, it's essentially that basket of rights. The right to life, the right to employment, the right to marry, the right to have a family, the right of free thought, the right of choice. All these go towards making an individual a human being. Now, if you start to take any of those rights away, essentially you will reach a point where we are only humans in form and not substance. Civil liberties is essentially all the necessary freedoms and rights to lead a full life. MCLM is not a political party, it is an attempt to bring people together so that we become a viable movement. Now, essentially, it's trying to bring together people who want to see that positive change. So we are a movement, and it is an effort to bring together a collective of individuals who desire the same change. That's essentially it. Not as long as I'm president. Every election year, we have political parties giving us manifestos, telling us what they will do, telling us what they will give us. More often than not, nothing happens. MCLM, on behalf of the Rakyat, have now come out with a manifesto to tell the political parties what it is that we want, what the Rakyat want. It's about time the political parties heard the Rakyat. Now, the manifesto that we've come up with is a very simple one, and let me just very quickly share it with you. Ending the marginalization of all human beings. How? By seizing federal power. When? Through the 13th general election. Then what? By forming the federal government, and through that federal government, implementing the Rakyat reform agenda. Now, as I said, for too long, political parties tell us what they're going to give us. More often than not, they don't. So, our manifesto is essentially on behalf of the Rakyat, telling the political parties, if you want power, this is what we want. there's this assumption that the electoral process, the constituencies belong to political parties. That's not true. Go to the federal constitution. The federal constitution allows any Malaysian citizen who does not suffer a legal impediment to offer himself as a candidate. Now, it's not the sole exclusive domain of political parties. Any individual who wants to serve this nation, but who's not interested in joining a political party, should not be prevented from offering his services in Parliament. Now, there are many individuals in this country, highly qualified, highly passionate about the country, who want to serve, but who have no desire to get into the political party setup. So the first reason that we have come up with this Barisan Rakyat Independent Candidate Initiative is to avail to these individuals the opportunity to serve. Now, equally, you will remember Perak. In 2009, until February or March, Perak was run by Pakatan Rakyat. Three aduns crossed over, and the government fell. Now, the government of the People's Choice fell because there were 3 elected representatives who were dishonest. Last year, 5 parliamentarians who were elected on a PKR ticket crossed over. Now, this is dishonest representation. And our concern is this: next general election, those of us who are hoping to see a regime change, and that includes MCLM, we want to see a new government. If you do not have candidates of integrity, there is every likelihood that a new government that is elected by the people may fall the way Perak fell. So we are offering these independent candidates as an attempt to ensure that if a new government is elected, any attempt to buy over MPs will not cause the new government to fall. Well, firstly, they are not related to us at all. Right? BRIC, or the Barisan Rakyat Independent Candidates, firstly, are not permitted to become members of MCLM. When we say they are independent, we mean they are even independent of MCLM. We do not direct them. MCLM is merely trying to build their election machinery to help their election campaign, but otherwise they are completely independent of MCLM. This is important to understand. We think a Wakil Rakyat should be that, a Wakil Rakyat, a representative of the people, not a representative of the party, and certainly with us, they are not to represent MCLM. The BRIC, or Barisan Rakyat Independent Candidates, are totally independent of MCLM. They are not related to us in any way. We are working together with them to facilitate perhaps a successful election campaign, to see them installed in Parliament. That's it. MCLM is not the third force. If I had to describe it this way, MCLM is trying to play the role of the bridge between a growing number of Rakyat who want to see change, to link them with the political parties, and I want to emphasize here, the non-BN political parties who share the same aspiration for change. From the MCLM perspective, the third force is made up of the Rakyat, that body of Rakyat who want to see that positive change. I'll say this again, MCLM is not the third force. We're just a group of citizens who want to help bring about the change, who want to help empower the Rakyat, empower that third force. The third force are the Rakyat out there, the average taxi driver, the average teacher, the average clerk, the average student, but who have one common ambition to bring about change in this country. That's the third force. Well, I suppose maybe in the initial stages when there were discussions on the internet about third force, people immediately associated it with the suggestion to form this MCLM. That may have contributed to it. There are also people who are deliberately confusing the issue. Whatever their purpose, whatever their agenda, I do not think there's any purpose in speculating. But it does appear that there is a deliberate attempt to confuse and associate MCLM with the notion of a third force. take the 12th general election. 50% of 8 million voters voted for change. Now that 50% of the rakyat, to me, represented the third force going into the 12th general election. That body of Malaysians who individually voted for change. Now, what we want to try to do is, before the 13th GE, the 13th general, whenever that happens, is to bring together that body of voters, citizens, who want that change, who individually go out and vote for change, but who might, if they could be harnessed and brought together to start to effectively play the role as agents of change. Give you a simple example. You want change, you're going to vote for change, but additionally, perhaps in the electoral process, you could also serve as a polling agent, counting agent. Now, you could be helping candidates during the campaign period. Now, that's actually going beyond just casting your vote. Now, if you can imagine, if we could sort of bring these people together, that's a huge force. That's the third force. That's the third force. We have several initiatives that are underway. We have done a collaboration with an NGO in the United Kingdom called Malaysian Overseas Votes. There are about 1 million Malaysians who are overseas. Under the Constitution, they qualify as what is called absent voters. They should be given the right to vote by post, but today most of them are not allowed to. MCLM is working with MOV, Malaysian Overseas Votes, to try to secure that right. That's one. We are also about to launch what we call Citizen Empowerment School. It is a 6-module, 2-weekend training for any Malaysian. You don't have to be an MCLM member. For any Malaysian to come join us over the 2-weekend training session. And we hope that through this training program, individuals who go through it come out feeling truly empowered to go out and start to do the little they can to bring about the change they want to see. We are also outreaching to the non-BN political parties to see if we cannot try to get them all together to try to build a larger coalition than that which BN faced in the 12th general election, with the view to building a stronger opposition now and hopefully a stronger coalition to form the new government in Putrajaya post-13G. Essentially, I would say that we are on a journey, if you will, to try to empower the right. If there is a change in government, which means we now see BN as opposition, and we see a new regime, we will play two roles. Firstly, we will watchdog the new government to make sure that they deliver what they promised to deliver, and to ensure, so far as there are any MPs there who have gone in on a Barisan Rakyat ticket, to continue to give them support, because they will need support to serve as effective MPs. Secondly, we will turn to BN to see if they are ready to reform. And if they are ready to reform, we will try to work with BN to reform them. Because if we aspire to be a two-party system in this country, we will need BN to be strengthened as well. At this juncture, that is the role I foresee MCLM will undertake post-13G.